Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, you just had a lovely session with Joanna and Raghu Sarai Toria in conversation with Ms. Shobha Mohan. We continue our Destination Discovery Volume 4, where this week we are covering the nature and wildlife. Rare India by default began conservation and marketing through the wildlife lodges and nature retreats we brought on board. Our focus was to highlight the positives and potential for change through these lodges and retreats. We proudly promote them as friends of the forest because conceptually and operationally, this is who our lodge owners actually are. Treading gently on the environment, engaging the local community, and through narratives and advocacy, and have pushed for change. Today, our second session, which is on Instagram again, we have Jeswin Kingsley, who's joining us from Kipling Camp right now, and we are going to be covering photography in Kipling Camp, summer photography. Just getting Jeswin on board. You might remember him. We had him join us in one of our rarefied events, in fact, where we did an entire walk around of Kipling Camp, and we got to see lovely Tara. Hi, Jeswin.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Yes, doing good. How are you?
All good, all good. Welcome back to another rare event. We had you the last time on our rarefied events, where we had a lovely walk of Kipling Camp, and we ended it with a beautiful side of Tara as well. So getting right into the topic, of course, we're talking about summer photography and Jeswin's journey, in fact, at Kipling Camp as a photographer. So tell us, Jeswin, what inspired you to be a wildlife photographer?
Yes. So, that's a funny story. So I joined into wildlife photography in 2011. And, that was an incident when I went for a first safari in Bandipur Tiger Reserve in South India. This was in 2011. And, that was my first ever safari inside the park. And I was so lucky that I saw my first tiger, most famous Prince tiger from Bandipur. And that is when I'm holding the DSLR camera for the first time, and that too from my uncle's camera. And so tiger is right in front of me, and it is sitting there. It is posing for like 10-15 minutes, but I couldn't click anything because I don't know to use a DSLR camera because it is quite complicated and it's big, heavy, and people go. People around me, they're going crazy, like clicking hundreds of shutters, and I couldn't click a single photo. That is when a man behind me, he said like, it is not important to have a DSLR camera. It is important to know how to use it. So that created a fire inside me, and that is when I started learning about DSLR cameras, and that is when I started taking wildlife photographs. So yes, so I started in 2011, and that was my start of the photography journey actually.
So just to let our viewers know, we're trying something different, and a lot of the shots that we see running in the background are all taken by Jeswin himself while his stay at Kanha. So tell us, what brought you to Kanha?
So Kanha was always in my dream list, because like whenever you go for a wildlife stays in a resort or somewhere, when they show us wildlife movies in the evenings, they used to show a documentary on Kanha and Prince. So this Kanha word, it always kept me like I should go to Kanha.
Yeah.
So when I got an idea to work as a naturalist, first thing I searched was Kanha. So that is why, because the landscape which they show in that, documentary, and the animals and tigers, everything, really made me to, join in Kanha. And that is how I joined in Kanha. And luckily I got an opportunity to join in Kipling Camp. So yes, so I joined in Kipling Camp in 2017. And as of now, I've completed 3 years in Kipling Camp. Yes.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about the landscape of Kanha and how is it different from the other national parks in central India?
Yes. So, Kanha is, I would say like Kanha is very different because like it has different vegetations. First I love the huge meadows in the middle of Kanha zone, and you have a little bit of meadows in Mukhi areas and all. So the the meadows will be very beautiful, very vast grasslands where and it will get very interesting when you see a tiger in the meadows. Yeah.
Yes.
So it is a photographer's dream to sight a tiger in meadows and to get such a background where you have the huge sal forest in the background. So that kind of scene you will see only in Kanha, because like sal forest is very very beautiful forest with thick long trees with lush green leaves. Though, so the specialty of sal is like you will see sal leaves in lush green in summer. So when you enter the forest, even though the the undergrowth is dry, but still the trees will be lush green. When you take photograph of even a landscape or a tiger or any animal, the photograph will come brilliantly. So it is like Kanha is very photogenic, I would say, to photograph any animals. So I personally feel Kanha is very different from other parks in these kind of things. Yeah.
So when we speak about summers, what are the animals and birds best seen in the season?
So summers, as we know, summer is very important time for a photographer, because you can see tigers in most of the safaris, because like tiger cannot tolerate heat. Because here in Kanha, the temperature in summer, this year I would say like it went to 46 degrees in the daytime. So
Wow.
so the temperature will be
That's
very
hot.
high. So yeah, so tiger, if you see tiger would be resting in the water hole. Always. So for photographer who want to see a tiger, they'll just they can come and see tiger. It is quite easy, compared to the other seasons. And second thing is like in summer the vegetation will dry. Yeah. So you'll get more visibility inside the forest. When you go for a safari, so there are more chances of sighting an animal. So
Yes.
that is regarding animal. And second thing is like summer is the nesting activity begins. So if April starts, you will hear lots of mm, brain fever birds started calling. Then Indian cuckoo comes, then Indian pitta comes. So you have brilliant birds, and you will see lots of bird activities. Being here in lockdown in summer, just in front of my room I could see like 3-4 species nesting right in front of my room.
Wow.
So that is best time to see a bird which is very active, feeding the chick or taking the nest materials. This is very different, compared to different other seasons, I would say.
So would you say that summer is a better time for wildlife photography? Like from
So
the point of view of lighting and the wildlife and how you shoot, in different seasons.
yes. So the thing is like it depends upon the photographer, because like each and every season has its unique view. For example, the park opens by October. So October, November will be lush green. If you go inside the forest, all the all the undergrowth will be lush green, and forest will be lush green. So like if you see a tiger, or if you see an animal, it will be like completely lush green, very very brilliant background. Then when you take December, you'll have misty mornings where the temperature drop down to like 2 degrees, 1 degrees in the morning. So the whole meadows will be covered with a blanket of mist. And sighting a tiger in that state is like, it is like a dream for many. So, and again, summer is dry, but the specialty of Kanha, as I said, is like you will have the sal trees lush green. So even
Yes.
though undergrowth is dry, you will have the beautiful background of green sal trees. And of course, there are more chances of seeing a tiger in summer. So, it depends upon the photographer and what he wants to photograph. So yes, so all the season has its unique speciality, I would say.
So, being into wildlife photography, and there are a lot of people, a lot of individuals today who want to get into this subject, who want to get into wildlife photography. So, how would you guide them? What would your inputs be? What would your guidance be? Your tips basically with regards to that, right from the best time of the day for photographing these animals, right from the gear, all those kinds of things.
Yes. So first of all, I would say like wildlife photography will be very good when it is an hobby, because like there is so much scope on wildlife photography to take as a career, because like there are very little people who has made as a, successful careers as a wildlife photographer. So I would say like first to start as an hobby, to because like like wildlife photography is like one of the very expensive hobby too, because like all the gadgets, but still you can start with the normal cameras and stuff, but still it is an expensive hobby. If you want to take get a decent DSLR for the low cost, it'll cost up to like 30,000-40,000 to get a normal basic DSLR. So it is a bit of expensive hobby, and it also depends on like what you want to shoot and stuff. Yeah. So I would rather say, I would say like it is better to be as an hobby than than taking as a profession. And second thing is like gear is not a matter to start with, because like I started with a basic gear. So first I had a point and shoot. Then I bought a very very basic Canon DSLR camera, which is like 1500D. So most of my tiger photographs were taken in a very basic normal DSLR camera with the basic kit lens which they give along with the camera. So I would say like the person behind the camera is more important. The brain behind the photograph is more important. Then once you get inside the wildlife field, and once you start clicking and you have more interest on it, and you're getting amazing shots, then you can like slowly improve the gadget, I would say. Maybe like you can change the camera, then once you can change the lens and stuff. So this is how you can go step by step, rather than directly jumping into photography as a profession. On terms, yes, on terms of lighting, I would, on terms of lighting, so it also depends on season. So if you take Kanha, summer is very good for lighting. It is in the early morning, because park opens by 5:45, and you'll get good light by 6:30. You'll get very good light. But it will not last long, because like the harsh light starts, because harsh light photography is not that good. So you can shoot like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and evening again 4 o'clock park opens, and 6:30 till 6:30. You will have good light for photography. So summer is very good in the terms of lighting. Whereas when you take winter, the sun rises very late, and it will be misty and cloudy. So you have to wait for the good lighting. So like in that way, I would say like summer is very good for getting the golden lights in the evening and stuff. So I would say like summer is good for photography. Yes.
All right. So moving on to the next question is that we know stabilization is important, but what are the practical challenges that you face when you talk about using a tripod, using a monopod, especially in the Indian jungles? What do you recommend?
So when you take Kipling camp, like we always have, bean bag ready. Bean bag is a bag which you can fill it with rice, you can fill it with sand, you can fill it with wheat and stuff. So you can put it on the gypsy, and you can take photograph for the stability. Because like it is quite hard to take tripod inside, because you have seats, and it is quite hard to fit the tripod in gypsies. So we'll give that, but most of the time, like you'll see tiger on road, walking towards you, or most of the time it will be a little bit like action filled sequence, So it will be like a gypsy will be always moving. So it is better to shoot in a high shutter speed, so in order to get good good crisp image. Otherwise it is best to have a bean bag, and like when you wait for a tiger, or you have a very good frame in front of you already preset. Then you can just put a tripod, you can put a bean bag, and you can click amazing shots. So it is better to carry a bean bag for the jungle to get a good photograph. Yes.
And when we talk about travelers, moving in, who are starting this very new, very fresh, would you say invest in travel, or would you say invest in gear?
So I would say like first little bit invest in gears, and then invest more on traveling, because like there is no point of investing more in the like gadget and going nowhere. So first, for a trial camera, you can get a basic DSLR cameras, and you can start traveling. Because like if you say last December, now you can see an elephant photo in the background.
Yes.
That was taken with a basic basic DSLR, very basic 1500 body. So I travel to this spot where the elephant comes. So per year, this elephant climbed this mountain like 3 or 4 times. A year. So amazing. I was waiting for like last 3 or 4 years. So I used to travel to the spot and wait and take photographs. So, and next thing is like I used to go to Munnar, I used to go to Wayanad, travel more to take like in Munnar we have this large scale pit, beautiful snake. and we have lots of beautiful frogs in Munnar and beautiful frogs in Wayanad and stuff. So I travel with my basic gear. I mean, with my basic gadget, and go and get amazing clicks. So I would say like invest less in gadget at start, then travel more, then then in future you can little bit improve your gadget and stuff. Yeah.
So get the basic gadget first, then do a bit of travel, and then
Yes.
keep investing and slowly and gradually just keep increasing
Yes.
the
Yes.
gears that you have, just
Yes.
improving on
Yes.
those, upgrading
Yes.
it.
Yes.
So when you're doing wildlife photography, do you recommend focusing on a setup wildlife shoot, like take a place, pick a spot, set it up over there, or would you say that explore more and get more shots on the move?
So it's like like there are lots of places in India where you can go. They'll have a water hole or bird bath or a feeding center where the birds come. They'll have a set perch. So you just sit in a hide, and you will have a small hole. You put the camera out of the hole, and the bird come and sit there, and you just click. So like I don't feel like that is the real wildlife photography. For birds. I mean, like because you have to go inside the jungle and see stuffs, and you should search birds or search animals. And taking photograph is like more thrilling, more what to say, more enjoyable moment. Rather than sitting in the same place and bringing in animals to your place. So I would say like go for raw birding. Instead of sitting in the same place. So I mean, I prefer like going inside the jungle and taking photograph. I think there is one question. They say to take a worthy wildlife photograph, one need to be quite patient. What is the maximum duration you have had to wait and any sighting and memorable click?
Yes.
Yeah. So for this question, I would say like the elephant photo which you saw. So I think like in 2015-16, the same mountain had one 3 or 4 elephant which won Sanctuary Asia award, I guess. I think special mention in Sanctuary Asia. So from that time, I was like, I was thinking like I should get an elephant in that mountain.
Yeah.
So this is in Kotagiri in Tamil Nadu. So I waited for three years. 3 years every monsoon. Whenever I go back home from Kipling camp, I just go and stare at the mountain. There'll be nothing in the mountain. I'll just go and stare and sit there. Get some coffee and tea, and I just sit there. So I waited for 3 years. And 4th year, luckily, I mean, one day I was going for continuously for 15 days. And I think 16th day I got the elephant on the mountain. So of course, patience. If you have something in mind, definitely you have to wait and go for it. Yes.
Yeah, I guess at the end of the day, you have to be very, very patient, because if you remember, there was this one photographer. I'm forgetting his name, and I think he was a bird photographer, and it was this of a kingfisher. If you know of it, it's the famous kingfisher where it was diving in. It was a very that point, and he must have clicked over 3,000 pictures minimum just to get that one right shot, and had to wait for several months and years to get that right shot.
Yes.
But yes, at the end of the day, I think I agree with you that it is patience that is needed for doing something like this, because you can't just get it right immediately. It will take some time. It will take a lot of effort as well. So yeah.
Yes, but still, I mean, you'll definitely get the result for that.
Yes.
After waiting for 3 years, after clicking that photograph became very viral. That photograph came in lots of magazines, news, and it created a debatable subject in South India. So of course, you'll once you wait and take a photograph, definitely you'll get a good result and outcome for it. Yes, there is. Yeah. Yes.
Moving on to the next question.
Yes.
Can you recommend some interesting compositions that are good rules to abide by for quick planning of your shot? Like, especially for when you're on the move and constantly especially when you're having these safaris. So what kind of minimum, like little tips that you would say that, okay, fine, keep the frames or the FPS and the aperture, keep it these settings, and it's good for a quick moving shot.
So I mean, in the jungle, most of the time, like everything will happen all of a sudden,
Yes.
So I mean, when you ask this question, I would say like, last year, this December, I saw my first tiger kill right in front of me inside the park. So that time, like this tiger just jumped out, all of a sudden, and you don't know what setting you had in the camera, and like what he did with the camera. Suddenly the instinct worked, and my hand suddenly clicked the shutter button, and it just just blasted the shutter, and I got couple of photographs from from that sequence. So like most of the time this is how it happens, like you'll be waiting, and suddenly the tiger walks out in a different direction. You'll be waiting here,
And the
and
tiger
the
will
tiger
come out
walks,
from the other direction.
yes.
That
So you
happens.
don't. Yes, so like this will come in practice when you go inside the park and when you go for safaris, each and every time. Then slowly this, the habit of fastness, like the settings and things, this slowly comes actually. And but if you have a frame where definitely like tiger's got to come out this way, so you can set some pre-settings and you can sit and wait. But most of the time you'll have just all of a sudden, like a miracle, it just walks behind you or in front of you, and you have to be like you have to catch that speed to take photograph. Yes.
And in Kanha especially, because everyone is following the rules, and it's not like everyone's going at one of those fast-pacing races. Everyone's following a very strict speed in Kanha, which is, I think, very, very commendable when we talk about Kanha National Park. All the forest officers, all the guides and the drivers, everyone is actually following the rules and regulations that they're supposed to be abiding by. So moving on to the next question, and this is something that, because it is noticed in a lot of photographers' work, of course, is post-processing. How important do you think post-processing is?
So post-processing is important, but I would say like to get maximum result in photography directly and do a little bit of post-processing, so that you'll not disturb the the nature of photography, the habitat, and the color of the nature, the actual thing. So I would say like do maximum effort while on the field, and do a little bit of photography. I'm in the post-processing, and post-processing, I would say like it is like icing on the cake. So most of the photograph you have to do post-process to show it. To make it in a more presentable way, because like in the field you might have little bit dull light, and because of lightings you might have little bit dull color of the forest and stuff. So you can little bit pinch up all these stuff so that it looks more presentable. So this is how you should use post-processing, rather than changing the whole subject, or rather than changing the whole like nature feel. You can do a little bit of post-processing on it. Yes.
So what kind of softwares do you use? Like, how do you post-process when it comes to you? How much do you do it, and what softwares do you use and recommend?
So it depends on the need. So for posting in Facebook, Instagrams, and just sending, like sharing in WhatsApp and stuff, you can post-process just in mobile, because like you have beautiful apps like Lightrooms, and you have Snapseed apps in the
on the phones.
And yes. Those apps are brilliant nowadays. And but for making into a printout or giving for some publications, you can work on the systems where you have like you have Photoshop, and you have Lightroom and systems and stuff. So you can use those apps. So it is little bit like if you say Adobe Photoshop, you can. There are lots of YouTube tutorials where you can watch, and you can learn how to work. Little bit complicated, but when you learn, then it is a brilliant skill actually. Yes.
So while post-processing, what would you say are the key edits for a quick processing, like where you don't want to spend too much of time on the entire picture, of course, but you want to just get the tiny basics done and have it sorted out? So
as I said, like most basic thing, what people do is like they would adjust the lightings of the image. So because like on field you might like little bit miss the chance of getting a good perfect image. So you have to little bit tune up the image by lighting, and then of course because of lighting your colorations might affect. So you can little bit increase the saturation, and this is a very basic editing I'm saying. So you can just make a picture more presentable. But still, there are lots of stuffs where like each and every eye is different. Like I would see my photograph is very nice, but somebody else would say like more color and more lightings.
Yes.
So each and every guy, eyes has a different concept of seeing a photo. So it depends on each and every individuality. Yes.
We have somebody asking, can you throw some light on the butterflies of around Kipling camp, if you have any
So,
knowledge?
yes. So last year I created a chart of butterflies of Kipling camp. I'm working on the number of species in Kipling camp. But like butterflies here is brilliant. We have a pond here, and this is the time of mud puddling. We would say mud puddling is like when a male butterfly sits and sucks water, and it filters the like the salt minerals which is from the bank of the pond, and it drips out the water, and it takes just the minerals, and during mating it will give pass on to the female. So this kind of activity is happening now. Like June, July will be like you will seeing lots of mud puddling activities. Now we are having lots of mud puddling activities, and we have roasting. You are seeing one photograph of a stick with 3 or 4 butterflies
Yes,
sitting on it.
yes,
So there are
yes.
lots of roasting. Happening of milkweed butterflies. There are very good butterfly activities around Kipling Camp. Being in South, since I'm from South, if I see a butterfly like Commander and if I see a butterfly like Baronet, I'll go crazy because like for us, these butterflies are very rare. But here, these butterflies are very, very common. So yes, butterfly activity is very, very good inside the camp. Yes.
All right. Moving on. And this is one of the best parts because I think this is something that we started doing with a lot of our Insta Live sessions. But before we get to that segment, we have another gentleman asking a question. How important is it to shoot an image in a raw format? And does it have any effect on the final output of image?
Yes. So there are two basic formats. One is raw format and one is JPEG format.
Yes.
And like I would suggest like to take most of the photograph in raw format. The reason behind it is raw is like it will just give the image as it is in the nature. So what we are seeing and what we are clicking, it just gives the raw image to us. But JPEG is like it just little bit adjusts the images with the colors and brightness and stuff. It gives the output like that. So for a normal to keep in mobile and stuff, it is okay to shoot in JPEG. But like I would suggest to shoot in RAW so that you can take the raw format of the photograph and you can edit and you can play. You can do anything with editing with that. So I would suggest to take in raw format rather than JPEG. But taking in raw format will cost you lots of space in your memory card. So you have to get a big memory card because like I think one photograph will get a space of 20-40 MBs, I guess. So it is much needed to get a like higher space memory card to shoot in raw format. Yes, so raw format is very important.
So moving towards the final bit of our session, of course, are the stories, and we know that you have some lovely stories to share with us. So if you can share a wildlife story and a photography story, then that'll be great with all the viewers.
Okay, so I'd like to say a couple of stories where which will tell you like how prepared you should be to go inside the jungle. So a couple of stories. One is like there is a dominant male tiger called Sangam male. He's a huge tiger and he's quite famous tiger in Kisli area of Kanha. And like since I joined, from the first day of Kipling camp, like people used to tell like Sangam male is very big tiger and he's so huge. He walks on the roads, he sleeps on the roads and stuff. So my dream was to see him. And like my luck is like from the beginning I've seen like whenever I get such opportunity to fulfill my dream, there'll be some trouble.
Yeah.
So on seeing this tiger, for the first time I'm seeing this tiger, and the tiger is just walking behind our car for like 20-30 minutes. He's just following us patiently, and so on seeing the tiger, my first hand goes to the camera, and then I'll tell the tiger, then of course I'll tell the guest like, you see the tiger, I'll show the tiger to the guest, then my hand goes to the camera to take the photograph. And when I put my hand inside the bag to take the camera was very lightweight. So I didn't feel anything. Then when I turned on the camera, nothing is happening. Then I remembered like I missed my battery in the camp.
Oh God!
So that was really a very bad experience.
Yourself at that point in time.
Yes, and tiger is walking behind me, and for like 20-30 minutes. And I couldn't do anything because I don't have memory card and stuff. And it is giving some amazing dream frames for a photographer. And like what I did is like I just took out my mobile phone and I was clicking some photograph from the mobile phone, and I was taking some videos. So this is one example of how you should be prepared before going inside the jungle. And the next thing is like this season again. There is one interesting funny thing. Like there is a tiger called Naina, and she had her litter last October, I guess. And I think by January, she bought her cubs out, very tiny cubs, and few people witnessed it. She just bought her 3 cubs. She had 3 cubs, and people are going crazy behind her. And I personally did 8 safaris to see her, but I didn't have any luck because she just appears for a day and she vanishes for 15 days. And then finally, with our camp guest, I was going inside the park. And this, there was some famous photograph of Naina with 3 cubs, which got published in newspapers and stuff. So, I was going with our guest inside the park, and after breakfast, we went inside her territory to check. We were the only car on the road, and all of a sudden, she was lying down on the road with not 3 cubs. She had 4 cubs. So, wow. Everybody was shocked. And because even forest department people, all the people, they were believing she's having 3 cubs because she was sighted 3 or 4 times just with 3 cubs. But this time what happened is same. The driver is shouting "Char bache hai, char bache hai." So I just took out my camera and I'm clicking. The camera is giving a different sound, and when I saw it, it says no memory card. Please insert a memory card.
Oh God! What's the battery now? Memory card.
Yes, and I couldn't do anything, and if I tell the truth to the driver, he'll make fun of me. Then he'll blast me in the cab saying this.
And now it's not a secret anymore. Now you pretty much openly told everyone.
Oh yes, of course. And she was sitting in the middle of the road, and she was giving pose with 4 cubs. We were the only car, and behind my brain, I was thinking I should show this to the outer world that she's having 4 cubs, not 3 cubs. So I was waiting. I tried to take some photograph from my mobile, and then she stood up and went inside. And my driver was asking what happened? Why you're not clicking photograph? I said no, this is too close. I can't catch it with my lens. So I gave him some lame excuses, and she went inside the forest. But luckily, after 10 minutes, she came out and she just lie down again in a grassland with 4 cubs. And that time, suddenly I turned towards the guest and said, can you please give me a memory card? I have a big lens and I can get you, good photograph of that tiger. Yeah. Luckily, they gave me the memory card. Then I took that photograph. You can see in my Instagram and even on Kipling camp page, the tiger will still be lying down. We have 4 cubs facing towards the, camera. So, yeah. So, this all are, life lessons. From that time, I used to go in the evening and, check the camera trap, cameras, and I check the, batteries, memory cards and everything, and keep everything, ready by evening, before I go, go out in the jungle in the early morning. So yeah, these are the
that's a good lesson for everyone, always check your battery and memory card before heading out.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jeswin. This was really, this is a great session we had with you. And, of course, you represent Kipling Camp. So it was lovely talking about summer photography at Kipling Camp. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Shomik. And thank you so much for the entire team for hosting such a beautiful event. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah. So that was Jeswin of Kipling Camp. It was a great session that we had with him today. Just ending this. So we've been chatting with our hero partners today. We had Joanna and Raghu from Sarai Toria. We had Jeswin from Kipling Camp. And these are hoteliers who basically endorse and adhere to some of the rare touchstones that basically focuses on conscious luxury travel. That's me signing out today. Keep in touch with us. We are going to be back tomorrow with our webinar session at 3 o'clock. And after that, we're going to be moving on to our Insta Live sessions at 5 and 6 o'clock at Rare India. Take care. Have a good evening and good night. Bye-bye.